and good day to everybody watching this podcast. I'm Gazal Raina, and on behalf of Milaap, I welcome you to join us for an interesting panel discussion with three guests whom I love talking to, love listening to, and whom I have the pleasure of sharing this online panel discussion with today. Milaap is a social support group that we started in 2019 with an intention to create a safe space for parents and families who experience parental alienation, a phenomena where one parent is willfully kept away, removed, or denied access from their children. Milaap also furthers the cause of co parenting with a firm belief that every child needs the love and support of both their parents. Over the last 5 years, Milaap has grown to become a collective of parents, grandparents, children, experts around the world who come together to create change and advocate the need for shared parenting in divorced families. I started this group myself with my own experiences with alienation and as a service to provide people safety, growth, and aid through a collective forum. Today's conversation is part of a large number of talks that we have attempted with experts on topics ranging from legal aid, family and child counseling, self healing, financial literacy, gender issues, all topics we felt can help members and the world at large. More than anything else in the world, children deserve safe spaces of love and nurturing from their families and the world at large. This is no longer a luxury, but as basic as water, food, in a world full of crisis. This three-part podcast series is our attempt to explore a facet of the lives of our children that remain unexplored or rather unexplained. Every year around Children's Day, Milaap attempts to create meaningful conversations for and about children around the world with a promise to create more awareness on how we can make their worlds a better and safer place. At Milaap, today we have geared up three amazing speakers to create an interesting set of conversations on topics with a focus on well-being of children when faced with rapidly changing family dynamics. In this series, we intend to cover various aspects of this topic with a focus on their well-being and which will address contemporary family structures, children in various settings like single-parent homes, adopted children, high-conflict families, joint family setups, single children of working parents, and others. And through the conversations with our panelists, we aim to bring together a diverse set of perspectives, expert opinions that will set forth ideas for change and help to throw light on the topic. I'm extremely happy, extremely proud to introduce our three panelists today. Professor Sunitha Mani, the Dean of the Emotional First Aid Academy, a true force in the mental health advocacy. She's also the founder of Emotional First Aid Course, which is a beginner's mental health certification to be accredited by the State University of New York and now recognized by HSSC India. She's also a pioneer in the mental health education. She designed the Apollo Med Skills curriculum, and Professor Mani's dedication extends her work. She extends her work with trans people, showcasing her commitment to inclusivity and support. She's the recipient of the prestigious Iconic Women Transforming Lives Award from the Women Economic Forum in 2022. Professor Mani's influence is felt worldwide. Her unique approach, merging psychology with medical humanities, philosophy, social cultural study of human behavior, equips us with the tools to conquer challenges around mental health narrative in India. She recently covered the issue of parental alienation in her series, The Emotional First Aid Show, Caught in Parental Wars. And we are very grateful to her for giving this time and her voice to this topic. Very warm welcome to you, Sunitha. I also have Dr. Vikram Srivastava, Managing Partner. Welcome. I also have Dr. Vikram Srivastava, Managing Partner, independent law firm. He's got 23 years of human rights law development experience with urban, rural, and scheduled area exposure within India. He has a strong working and theoretical grounding on human rights, child rights, and governance issues. He's been involved in various roles, including policy drafting, legal interventions, research, training, and advocacy. program strategy, program implementation, monitoring and evaluation, campaigns and communication, planning and advocacy. He's also been involved in research studies and evaluation of projects. He's a regular writer. He's got 2 books and several articles to his credit. Vikram has worked with Marg and Cry before founding Independent Thought, I Thought, which is also available at www.ithought.in. It's a national human rights organization working towards equity, justice, and mutual respect. Milaap is very fortunate to have him as a mentor, and he is featured in many of our forums and discussions to share his views on shared parenting and custody matters. Dr. Vikram, very, very pleased, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste to everyone. Yeah.
Namaste. And I also have the pleasure of welcoming Kashmira Jaiswal. She's the Vice Principal of Navrashna School, Baroda. She's an experienced education leader. She's held the position of Creative Director, Head Pedagogy and Innovations, an extremely efficient coordinator, Head of the English Department in the past, and has demonstrated a history of efficiently working with primary, secondary education industry. She's very skilled in teacher training, student skill development programs, leadership programs, soft skill training, personality development. She holds a mastery in communication skills, critical and creative thinking skills, theater, public speaking, editing, educational technology, and curriculum design. She has a master's degree in linguistics focused in international education leadership and administration, and she was also awarded the ILEP fellowship, having studied at the College of St. Rose, Albany, New York. Very warm welcome to you, Kashmira ma'am, and such a pleasure to have you join us here in Milaap in a different avatar.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
In a country where lifestyles are being transformed by capitalism and aspiration, this new family format of one-child families, I think, is both a reflection as well as a harbinger of change and times to come. A very interesting data which was conducted, very interesting data that is available through a study which was conducted in 2011, by the National Council of Applied Economic Research, indicated that close to 10% of Indian households now opt for only one child, and nearly a quarter of college-educated women said they would prefer to have just one single child. A few years later, India's National Family Health Survey, number 4, showed that only 24% of married women between 15 and 49 and 27% men wanted to opt for a second child. A very interesting quote by one of the respondents of the survey said that Indian women with a single child are no more likely to engage in paid work than those with more children. Couples with single children do not work longer or have more free time either. Instead, educated couples prefer to make a greater commitment to one child, then split the family's time and resources amongst 2 or more siblings. This, they believe, gives their one child a better education, a monopoly on the family attention, and eventually a greater advantage in the job market. Let me start with you, Kashmira ma'am, because I think when I think of children, the closest that I can think of, if I'm not biased in my view as a teacher, as an ex-teacher, is how do schools see the impact of this changing dimension? I'm sure you come across, and you have over your years of decades of working in schools in different roles, seen this phenomena change. So how do you think schools are seeing the impact on children, on the lives of children, with families increasingly opting for becoming one-child families? Kashmira ma'am.
If we talk about single-child families, Gazal, the impact is larger because there is such a lot of children fight. You know, they have the tiny ones, you know, I see that more in my primary section because they are, it's like they're very entitled to, when single children, you know, they're very entitled to attention. They're very entitled to material things. And so, so many times people are helping them sort out those quarrels and squabbles and issues. And then there are some who find it difficult to make friends. There are such cases also where, it's difficult to open up and make friends. So those are also kinds of issues. And um, it's like they're islands in themselves. Sometimes, the children are islands in themselves. And so a lot of socializing activities that, their social quotient needs to be increased. All of that is seen more so in the younger kids also.
Sure. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for adding that. And I think those are changes that we are able to see with children amongst themselves, as in how they experience the change now that I am a single child in my family. And also a lot of it is to do with their how they respond to their peers as well here. Sunitha, if I have to ask you a very direct question, right? And I know that it's a question which is a loaded question, if I can call it. Does growing up without siblings put children at a huge intellectual, social, emotional disadvantage? Or there can be advantages of that as well, because there are increasingly a lot of families who are opting, and I think we have to respect their choice for having one child. But at the same time, we don't want to have a discourse where we are trying to discourage people from doing that. But what are the disadvantages? Whereas, and what could be the advantages as well here? So, what would be your take on this, and what would be your advice to parents?
Right. Thank you, Ghazal, for bringing up such a important question, which most parents kind of battle with when they are contemplating on the choices that they are making for their children. So, what I'm going to say now is based on my experience as a therapist, having seen parents who have a single child, and then children who grow up with siblings, and then my own life, and then the life of my cousins who are single children. Um, right at the beginning, we need to understand that children, whether they want to have one child or they want to have children who will grow up with siblings, is a personal choice that parents make. And I think that decision is based on several factors, which can include socio-cultural factors. It can include the kind of exposure they have had, and it can also include the experiences they have had in their own childhood. So all these things of these two individuals shapes this decision. So I think we have to move the discussion away from which is better. We need to create a space where we can hold both kind of parents in their own decisions, and ensuring that they have the tools and techniques to deal and create a very safe place for their own children, and to have the maximum experience of being a parent, which truly is a blessing, right? It comes with a share of sacrifices and everything. So if you ask me, I would say growing up without siblings does not inherently put children at a disadvantage, whether it is intellectually, whether it's in terms of social or emotional development also. And I think this entire question stems from this. There was a study that they did in 1968. It was done by a psychologist named Mr. Alfred Messer, who kind of wrote a paper saying single children grow up to become selfish and self-centered. So I think the fear that parents who are having only child kind of a policy, I think the question that they're asking is, what if my child feels like I will get whatever I want in my life? And what if they go to the adult world and they suddenly realize that, no, I may not get everything that I want in my life? So I think, if parents are having a single child, then I want to rest assure them that These can be children who grow up to be independent. We have children, who are like the only child family scenarios. They're more sharing and compromising and more welcoming of, these friendships that they have. We have people who treasure it and, looking forward to doing something for their society at large. I might not have siblings, but I might have a passion to go and do something with the rural area that is very close in my neighborhood. So it's all about how parents want to shape the environment around for these children. So if we are going to debate about a single child syndrome, then what about firstborn syndrome? How do you bring this and fit this into a middle child syndrome? So if you look at that, then human life is one series of syndromes. We learn and we unlearn, we get into an environment, it shapes us, we influence others lives. So parents, no matter what choices and decisions they have made, we need a society that respects that space, right? And then do whatever we can as a society to help them nurture responsible, empathetic children. And that has got really nothing to a larger extent, whether, I have siblings or not. I might have a pet and I might feel very attached to it. And there is literally no study that is solidly backing saying that, single children are growing up to be more entitled, or they're finding very difficult to reach out and seek help or make friends or belong. We have mixed reviews. And I think each parent, what they need to commit is the quality time that they can spend with their child, whether it is one child or many children. And I think that makes all the difference.
Thank you, Sunitha. Thank you so much. I know that this question itself is quite debatable, and I really love your view on saying that I don't think it's a versus this versus that situation anymore.
Because you studies on both sides, Ghazal, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm going to support the view that siblings are important because joint family, become 100 years culture, right? So it has its pluses, and I can give you 100 research papers that vouch for it. 139 crore people. So any size that I take for research is a good size to debate my point. Similarly, then when I look on the other side and say, hey, how real is the single child syndrome? Then you have researchers that say, no, look at the world moving today. Everything is getting personalized, which means people have to learn to be detached, be more focused, and then take decisions. So, I think the world is what we make of it at the end of the day, which is what I try to do at my work, help people find respect in whatever has happened to them, in whatever is shaping their life and decisions. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Vikram, if I have to, I can't help but also bring in a very strong gender-based question that comes on women when this entire topic is talked about, especially socially, not so much about research, is that this change that we see of families now opting to have just one child has often been either credited or discredited to women as they become more aspirational about their careers. And it's they also face a lot of times the pressure of bringing these changes in their families because they want probably a longer career. They want to spend more time with their at their work. They want to aspire to achieve more, sort of, if I can call, greater heights, and so that in order to do that, it is often said that women are making that choice more than men. So is this really a gender dialogue, or is it a national sentiment that an entire generation is looking at very closely at the options that women are choosing to have? What is your thought about it?
So thank you again for making it part of this dialogue. Uh, I don't completely agree. Let me come from a perspective that I see children um, um, within the family or society never being a kind of a priority issue. I come from that perspective. Uh, be it one child or two child or more than one child, I don't think children and their upbringing in many societies is a very conscious, programmed, designed way of working. So in even in larger families earlier also, uh, children used to just, you know, as part of a herd, they used to, that upbringing used to happen in a way more like an auto mode. So it's what more like an designed lifestyle of a larger family where things were very routine, and they used to just fit in into that um, structured way of lifestyle, and then based on their own individual capacities and likes and dislikes and all those stuff, they used to take shape as a human, well, adults, if I can put it like that. If I see the single child is just an outcome of what we have been aspiring as a nation for last 2 3 decades, if I can say. There has been a very strong campaign against small family. Um, though we talked about two child family, but there was a very strong campaign that we need to decrease the size of the family and what all benefits are there. And one of the core benefit which stuck everyone is that the resource allocation will be better. So that's one of the biggest message, very programmed, very strong, advocated, more from advertising point of view. It's like behavior changing perspective made in the last 2 3 decades in the country, and for reasons we all know. Second very important thing, which I think, which is again a logical outcome of what has happened, is if you get educated, you will look for opportunity, which again, based on the per capita investment in the country, are only in few islands. Even today, you name any state, you will see people from the rural background, from small towns, flocking in the big cities. Not because for any other reason, but purely because the investment by the state, per capita investment, is very skewed, very limited. Now take example for Delhi. Now everything, anything which happens, even with so much problems in the infrastructural issues, pollution, very extreme weathers, everything, but still the investment will keep happening in Delhi. We will have more and more stadiums, more and more hospitals, more and more. So somehow that mindset of expanding, going beyond these small town, a place called Delhi, is still not stuck in the planners, the town planner. So there's no thought of developing, say, Meerut into a mega city when it comes to bigger projects. So I think these two things, which was one was uh, um, the kind of a strategic plan to have a smaller family has struck people. The resource linked to it has struck people. Second, when you get educated and you aspire, you look for opportunities, you will migrate. Now, when you migrate, obviously you migrate to earn and to save. So you don't migrate as a joint family. You migrate as individuals. So when you migrate as individuals, I know a lot of people, and you all must be knowing everyone. Not every parent is comfortable shifting to Bangalore or Delhi or Calcutta or Bombay. They love being at Nagpur and Patna and smaller town. They know they have their own life, they have their breathing space, they have their companies, everything. So I think when we move as individuals to bigger cities for obvious reasons, for having more opportunities, we are not moving as joint families. Then what we will end up is either single or a small nuclear family. So these are, I think this is what we have been programming for last 2 3 decades. And now when I see a small family, like I am also a small family, a nuclear family, and now when I diagnose why we decided to only have one child, there were several reasons. And I was just pointing out, noting down what can be those key reasons. I think one of the key reason is the age of marriage today. So if you are marrying at say mid 30s or late 30s, you have a clear understanding after rearing a child for 3 years that you don't have the energy and strength to again repeat the same routine for another child. So if you have to stay back for the whole night because the child has some cold or cough, or you have to run for that child in a park, you have to take him, spend that much energy and amount, you realize as you reach your early late 30s or 40s that you don't have that energy and patience to rear that child. And then many people decide that then it will not be justice. If I have given certain kind of time and energy to say child one, and if I am not able to give that to child two, then it's not justice. So I think that parity thought has seeped in into people, that I don't have the energy, I don't have the capacity. I'm not talking about the resource part. I'm just talking about the human aspect of it. Second, I think very important is the cost of childbearing. Now, child starting from from the day the good news comes, and the next 25 years or 23 years, we in Indian society obviously give support to our children, so we know how costly it is now. If you want to give even a average middle class upbringing, it is a costly affair. You can easily make out that a large chunk, 20 to 25% of your resources will be very focused on your child, provided you are earning a little higher in terms of finances. If that decreases, it can take away a larger chunk, more than what you can even expect. If you aspire to send that child to a good school, provide him tuitions, some extracurricular support, then the lifestyle basics, I'm talking about very basic, non-negotiable. You have to put a birthday party, you have to send him to 10 birthday parties during the year. So even if I put these basic costs, it's a costly affair now. It is not that easy. So I think the cost has become so important determining factor. It's like which colony I am going to settle, where I am expected to buy a flat. You cannot settle at the center of Bangalore or Chennai. It's impossible because your budget don't allow. And so that's where I think your budget don't allow for a second child in most of the cases where they are nuclear family. I think third is also important is, which is uh, very easy to understand from a nuclear family perspective, that you don't have a social support system. Within families, social support system is zero. You don't have any brother or sister nearby where you can drop your child and go for some social event or overnight trip to some other place. You just don't have. So all your other things are going to get impacted the moment you decide for such kind of engagement. And we understand child engagement is a very serious engagement. And with all the newses coming out, how they get treated in, by their nannies or by at the child care centers, everyone becomes very alert now. So it's not that you can be not mindful of where my child is at the moment. You have to keep a check. You have to mentally engage. Kahan hai, kya kar raha hai? Because of the stories we hear from every place. Another aspect which, from a very personal experience I'm telling, is the increasing number of autism and ADHD cases. Now in US, the number is almost like 1 in 76. I was just checking. In India, it's almost like 1 or 1.5 in every 100 child is autistic in India. Now, any parent who has gone through that experience does not take a chance of second child, because they know there's high risk. The second child also uh, may also have some kind of disability. So I think there are several ways of looking, and coming back to what you asked in terms of gender, linking it to the aspirational women and all. See, once you have moved out of the city, small city to a big town, you have moved out of your family, and you are working. There are certain, now I think there are certain accepted and socially accepted things that they know that these are things which will happen. So now a girl who gets married, who's an educated an IT girl, or whatever work she is doing, it is expected that she will not have a child immediately after marriage. She will take 2 years, 3 years time. They will travel. They will know. They will roam around, go for trips, have a love and fun life for some certain years, and then it will boil down after 2 or 3 years. It is not as if what used to happen earlier. You got married, and then 9th and 10th month you are with a child. So there are certain expectations people have already, I think, internalized now, mostly, that if you are marrying an educated girl who is in a job, there are certain things which is bound to happen. It is not that she is going to dictate, but this is the norm. I think this is the standard set now, with certain, and it's again stereotyping, which I'm doing. But I think this is what, um, you see it positively or negatively, but this is the kind of stereotyping which has happened, which the females and the young couples understand. They are also behaving the same way, and the parents and society has also accepted it. This is now what is going to happen. So I think this one child phenomena has more practical dimensions to it. And my feeling is, as I started, that children are were never a center of decision making. Now they are center of decision making. If we believe that having more than one child is a better family situation, so if we go with that thought, then they are center of the decision making to their detrimental, in that sense. But having one child, uh, um, obviously a lot of things which Kashmira ma'am was sharing about behavioral issues and all those stuff. We know all those things. We are also facing. We all are facing that. They feel more entitled. They feel more, um, they seek attention, and all those things are very much part of the normal behavior. But keeping those aside, I think the kind of attention you are able to give to a single child, the kind of resources you are able to put to a single child, might not have been possible if you have two children. You will have to cut somewhere. The role of fathers now in today's world has changed dramatically in the whole process of child upbringing. So in many families, I think father is very much involved. I don't want to put the equally involved, but is very much involved in this whole process of child rearing. And the amount of time they spend in the family with the child, the kind of vacations they go. So I think even in this decision, I think because of the new changed role of the father, who we see in a patriarchal society take decisions, they have also started realizing that child rearing takes time. Not only cost, it takes time, it takes your involvement. So, and you like it or not, but the initial few years of child rearing does hamper your other engagements, professional or otherwise. So then taking decision for another series of 5 years with similar engagement is something which even I think men are taking a call that it's enough. One is enough. Let's put whatever we can, and then let's move on.
Vikram, for actually stretching this topic beyond what I was talking about, and to bring it to a point where you've actually covered a lot of different layers, right? It's like you said. I think this isn't really not just a social sort of change. It's also a personal choice, driven by a lot of different reasons, not just somebody's aspiration, but also a very practical reason why people want to have a different family size and dynamics. So a very interesting, I think, take a very interesting perspective and view that all three of you have brought in to this topic. I think some takeaways for me and for the viewers would be that this is now a very conscious decision at an individual as well as a family level that is coming in and seeping in. So while people are moving towards taking this decision, I think they are also coming across the responsibility to look at their families very differently. They know that it will come with certain, I would say, pitfalls, or I would say, some have-nots, which would have been there probably in a joint family. But then also they realize that there are a lot of haves and positives to this decision. And I think the fact that they are more aware and more conscious, the fact that there is help which is available through counseling and through professionals like Dr. Sunitha, Kashmira ma'am, you spoke a lot about the counselors and the therapists that are available in the schools, the way the schools have become mentors and guides to parents as they go through this transition, not just the children itself. Teachers, the role the teachers play, the heads of the schools play. I think those are all encouraging enablers that are there for parents and for this entire generation who's choosing to look at families differently. So thank you so much for this conversation, for bringing your views here, and I look forward to again engaging you on the topic of children in new age families very soon.